All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Walking Dead video for today. Oh my god, really? Yes, really. This one, we're going to give our thoughts on, it sounds like the deal between AMC and Universal Studios likely falling through, and the likelihood that us seeing the Walking Dead movie in theaters starting to look pretty grim. And as per usual, I'll put the link in the description so you guys can go ahead and check this one out from comicbook.com for The Walking Dead movie. The title for the article is The Walking Dead movie won't be in theaters now. Oh man, so this one is really unfortunate. So let's read through the details about the deal between AMC Regal and Universal and hear what comicbook.com has to say about this. So this one is, this is kind of sad news. Okay, so it says, as the long wait for the Rick Grimes movies continues, there is some bad news for fans who were looking forward to seeing Andrew Lincoln reprise the role of, well, I'll add this in, of Rick Grimes on the big screen. As of the current relationship state between Universal Studios and a couple of theater chains, the movie won't be shown in theaters. AMC Theaters and Regal Cinemas have both denounced Universal Studios for their having of any intention of releasing movies in an on-demand format, following the studio's need to do with The Hunt, The Invisible Man, and Trolls World Tour. The last title never played in theaters, as all of the home releases were prompted by theater shutdowns following the, well, you guessed it, COVID outbreak, coronavirus outbreak. Universal Studios is in place to produce and distribute the Walking Dead movies. If theater chains hold to their promise of not showing Universal Studios movies in theaters, and if more join the initiative, then Rick Grimes won't be seen in many movie theaters around the country and world. The good news is there's plenty of time for this to change. Both the movie studio and the theaters need each other. Movies like No Time to Die and Fast and the Furious films would take a larger audience out of the theaters if they are not screened. However, it would also result in a considerable loss for the studio if there are no box office dollars ahead of at-home purchase figures. It's a lose-lose situation if this happens, so the theater chains threat might just prompt a strong stance of supporting the theatrical experience with a more definitive stance. Universal's response to AMC theaters dropping their films already seemed to indicate support of the box office release format. At the time of publishing, theater chains like Alamo Drafthouse, Cinemark, and Santikos have not threatened to cut ties with Universal Studios. So it says there is plenty of time for this to happen as well. The Walking Dead has given no indication of when the movies starring Andrew Lincoln as Rick Grimes were scheduled to release ahead of the delays which many productions were facing. Now it is inevitably going to take longer or be a longer wait for the film, which already felt like it was taking too long already, or long enough already. This story will inevitably develop and evolve as Universal Studios and the theater chains come to an agreement or don't. So if they're able to work this out or not. So, oh man, I guess I should have thought about this. It wasn't something that had occurred in my mind. So that's the end of the article. Link in the description. You can check it out yourselves if you want to. So I guess we all should have kind of realized this, but with everything that's been going on in our lives and all of that, and us knowing that the season 10 finale episode 16, would be delayed until they're able to finish it, which has angered fans somewhat, right? But we're all fans of the series. We love Walking Dead, which is why we're getting angry about it. Okay, but obviously there's more pressing matters at hand right now with people's lives on the line, and this monster out there doing what it's doing to everybody, and still spreading it around 70,000 people a day or whatnot. So, but I guess this should have occurred to me, which is that theaters, because this isn't just strictly Walking Dead movie. The Walking Dead movie I always thought was a great idea, and I thought it was genius. I thought it was brilliant, but we could have never foreseen something like, COVID happening in our lifetime. Like, that was not something that anybody except for Bill Gates had ever even thought of. He thought about it a lot, but the rest of us here in regular mortal land that are doing our regular stuff, we're not thinking about some crazy pandemic and throwing scenario exercises and all this stuff. We're not doing that stuff. We're just basically watching Walking Dead, living our lives, doing the normal stuff that we normally do, and we're not, aware that there's going to be this crazy pandemic that's going to go out there and cripple the whole world and everything. But one of the big questions that, does come into play, which I've heard mentioned a couple times, but it never really registered with me, is what about your big blockbuster movies? Like, how is this whole situation going to affect long term your movie theaters? Who in their right mind, who in hell right now is going to want to go to the movies and sit like right next to somebody? Are there movie theaters that are even open right now? I'm pretty positive the ones where I live are all shut down. They're not. None of them are open right now. But are there any movie theaters that are open at all anywhere? And if they are, how are they dealing with this whole 6 feet separation, social distancing thing? Like, what do you have? You have like maybe a couple who sit beside each other, and then what do you have? Like, if you go 6 feet, then that means like, what are you going to go like, several seats, like, and then maybe after 4 or 5 seats, then another person can sit, and then you do another 4 or 5, and another person can sit. And how are you going to fill movie theaters when you have this social distancing thing to be able for them to be profitable and to still make money? And will people even want to go at all anyway? Because you have all these people in this auditorium, they're sitting there for hours at a time, like that just sounds like somewhere, or you're in close somewhat to each other. And if you're not, because if you remember the big theatrical releases, you have your Avengers movies and stuff doing $1 billion or whatever, your Joker movie doing $1 billion or whatever it did at the box office, really good numbers. But those numbers are based on having people cram those theaters in, having every seat, especially opening weekend and whatnot, every theater you can play it on, and every seat is filled up. People can't even get a ticket, which means that, if you guys have gone, if you've ever been a late person to the theater on an opening weekend or opening night, you know what it's like basically. If you go with the wife or whatever, or your husband, and you go to buy a ticket, a lot of times, there'll be like a couple tickets available, so maybe you guys can sit together. And have you guys ever been in the problem where it's like you get 2 tickets and you go in and then there's no 2 seats? I've had that situation happen a couple times, like where the theaters are so jam-packed to the point where you can't even, like, if you get 2 seats, they might not even be together. Like, what are you going to watch? You watch it here and she goes over there or something. You know what I mean? Like that's on opening weekends. If you show up late, that's kind of how it is. Like, sometimes it's hard to even get a seat. It's so jam-packed. So will the theaters still be profitable if they're not able to jam-pack the seats, and they have to have like, this social distancing thing, meaning like how many people can you even fit into those theaters? Like a 1/6 or a 1/10 of what you usually can, because you have to adhere to the social guide. And what about 6 feet about the row behind you? Because I don't think those rows behind you are 6 feet. So, man, I mean, really crazy stuff, all the things that this is affecting, even when the economy kind of comes back and they, as Trump is saying, opening America, they reopen America, and they reopen, a lot of the other countries start to reopen. Will the theaters be something that do reopen for these big budget, Hollywood movies and whatnot? I don't know what that's going to look like, right? I mean, if we get a vaccine eventually and whatnot, and if it's clean and everything, then maybe it'd be okay for everyone to be vaccinated. Then maybe they can all go in and jam-pack theaters again at some point in time. But at least for the foreseeable future here, I think that there's a huge riddle question mark right now on what's going to happen with the whole movie industry, like the whole theater industry, right? You just don't know. So that's the one, man, that I was looking forward to most. Of any movie out there, I was looking forward to seeing a Rick Grimes movie or a trilogy like they were talking about. Getting to see Andrew Lincoln reprise his role on the big screen as Rick. I think that would have been awesome. But with the state of movie theaters right now and whatever the hell is going to happen with them, does that mean that like is that a thing of the past? Like is going to the movies and jam packing a whole movie theater, is that a thing that we used to do that post COVID world we will no longer do? Like, is that something that doesn't happen anymore? And you don't see these major Hollywood studios pour hundreds of millions of dollars into making an Avengers and into making one of these movies because they can't jam pack these theaters and they can't sell them at that kind of a level, so they have to make them on a lower budget for like a home release or a streaming release or a TV release or something like this instead. So it's unfortunate to hear that this has dropped through. I think everything is subject to change right now. I don't think we can say 100% that we won't see a Rick Grimes movie in theaters at all. Like, it couldn't flip and go back the other way. But, it's really unfortunate that just the way the whole thing played out, that this happened to happen now for Walking Dead fans, and we had already been waiting a long time for the Rick movies, and now you have Michonne leaving too, so you were looking forward to seeing them maybe be reunited in a sequel movie, like maybe the second movie or something, and now you're sitting there looking at this saying like, oh yeah, that's right, all that's going to be up in the air, and it was already kind of delayed to begin with anyway, so maybe at this point, does it make more sense that they cancel the idea for the movie plan, and instead, because it's too risky to do a big theater release and invest all that money, and instead do a TV movie or something if Andrew Lincoln's down. I know he said that categorically he would never be returning to Walking Dead TV series, but that was like, he said that in a pre-COVID world, so it's not like he would be lying or anything if he did return. It's that the whole world has changed, the whole landscape has changed, so who knows, man, maybe we could eventually see something on, like, or they do the movie, but they do it on an AMC release instead, and they take less risk or something. I don't know, because investing big money into a big theatrical release right now is like, the risk versus reward. Is it worth the risk to put tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars into making a Rick movie? If you air that in theaters and nobody shows up, or if the deal falls through like this, or whatever happens, maybe you can't do it. Maybe that doesn't make sense. So I don't know, man. A lot of questions up in the air right now. What would you guys like to see happen? Would you like to see an AMC TV release for the movie instead? Would you like to see it direct to Blu-ray or DVD where you go out and buy it or something? And maybe they do that. Or do you think they should still try to do the theater release and try to work this out? And maybe you see it at select theaters. Would any of you guys even want to go to the theaters? Now, this is one for me. I would make a special exemption for this to actually take the risk to go to the theaters to watch a Walking Dead movie. If it was just a Marvel movie or something, no, I'm not gonna do it. But for something special like that, for the first Walking Dead movie, I would go, even with the whole world situation right now. But how are you guys feeling about that? Would you go? Would you want to go? Because being that close and everything, is it worth it and whatnot for hours on end? The way air conditioners, if you go during the summer or something, if you guys don't know, for COVID, air conditioners can blow it around, so, and it can be kind of get into the people sneeze, cough, whatever, even when they're speaking, there's, the droplets or the moisture going into the air from them. Air conditioners, like in restaurants and whatnot, I've seen diagrams of this where one person could have it, and then the air conditioner could blow it around and other people. Or like cruise ships are really bad for that, where one person gets it, and before you know it, everyone on the ship has it because the air is being recycled and it's kind of confined and everything, and everything's close quarters. So, and then before you know it, everyone on the ship has the thing. So let's leave it there for this one. And even Coachella Coastal said, we got this covered, isn't a valid source, so that Daryl spinoff movie discussion probably didn't even happen. Well, I wouldn't be thinking about, any Walking Dead movies really getting done with this whole situation. I think it'll be good when we see the actual TV series return at some point. But I would not be surprised if the Walking Dead movie didn't air in theaters at all, and comicbook.com is right with this, and that we saw a TV release instead or something like that. Or I wouldn't even be surprised at this point if they decided to nix it, cancel it, and have them come back in the TV series or something like that. Take a more low-risk approach or something than putting out big money right now in a COVID-esque or post-COVID type of world. I just really hope it doesn't get fully canceled. I hope that we get to see Rick come back in some way, whether it be, if they're still going to do a movie, they do a TV release or something like that, and we see that. Or if they have to bring him back in the TV series and do that, man, that might be cool too. Or do a spinoff or something, I don't know. As long as we get to see Rick again, whether it be a TV series or movie, I'll be happy. And it's unfortunate this whole thing happened with the world, But who knows? A lot of people were skeptic about the movie before all this happened anyway. They thought it was going to be canceled even beforehand anyway. Now it's like, well, yeah, I think they're right. I think comicbooks.com's right. I don't think we'll see it in movie theaters. I hope I'm wrong. But again, movie theaters are not the same as what they were before. And I don't even think that might just be an industry that just folds up almost entirely, or at least one that in a few years they're going to take big losses and big cutbacks, and some of them are going to have to close. And then eventually, with vaccines and whatnot, and once the whole situation is relaxed a bit, alleviated a bit, then maybe they can kind of continue after that. But at least for the next couple years, I don't think movie theaters are going to be in the best, the best type of it. It's not the best type of industry to be in, considering this whole situation. It just isn't. Public gathering type of close quarters type of thing like that, close seating and whatnot. Yeah, it's probably, I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, then leave the comments below is the biggest thing. Thumb it up. Stay safe, guys. Share favorite. Let me know what you think is going to happen here. Do you think that this Rick movie is actually just going to get canceled, and then maybe they'll just have him return to the TV series or do something like that instead? At this point, I really wouldn't be surprised. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. It's Trev. Saying peace later, guys. See you soon.